Hi everyone, I'm Manuel Vinulas. Our channel OriginsTuristico.com is the only channel of professionals who have been successful in their respective occupations. Today we interview our friend Sylvia Andrés. She is the managing director of the Palacio de Congresos de Valencia. He comes to tell us about his passion for work and for tourism, obviously. She has a degree in economics and business administration from the University of Valencia and also a master's degree in marketing management and business management from ESIC in Valencia and a very interesting curriculum. So, hi Sylvia, how are you? How are you?
Hello, very good Manuel, thank you.
Well, tell us who Sylvia Andrés is, please.
Well, Sylvia Andrés, apart from the studies that you have mentioned, I am a person who enjoys everything I do, be it work or pleasure, and in this case that you are interviewing me for my position as director of the palace, well, a professional who he has been working here for more than 24 years and with great enthusiasm representing the city of Valencia and always valuing the positive aspects that this work brings.
Very well. How does Sylvia run and manage a Congress hall?
Well, look, it is directed with enthusiasm and desire, and above all with a team because one cannot direct anything alone. So the key is to be able to surround yourself with a team of professionals who try to infect them with the illusion that you put into everything you do. And I think the most important thing is, as we always work in our business in the medium and long term, because we are now working on the applications for 2026, 27 and 28. The good thing is that you always have to look to the future and try to adapt, because in the end we are a company, even if it is public, we are a customer-oriented company, and I think that the most beautiful thing about our work is all the changes that we have undergone throughout these almost 25 years. So if you get stuck and stop and think that what has worked until now will continue to work is the biggest mistake you can make. So, to run it properly, you have to surround yourself with the most suitable people. A challenge is to keep them motivated from minute one and after almost 25 years, as I said, to keep them motivated and always trying to see where to go and what the market is requiring.
Very well. I see that you have a lot of movement. Valencia is always there right now, fighting very closely with the city of Seville and with other cities, obviously, because of course we are very lucky that all of Spain is spectacular and logically we had to fight so hard to be able to get out of those pieces. So I see above all that in your enthusiasm. I know a lot of people related to the world of tourism in Valencia, and I tell you that you are doing quite well right now.
Okay, we have a lot of merit, but it must also be said that the importance of the city we are in, because a conference center by itself does not attract tourism, but rather it has to be in a city and it has to be accompanied by infrastructure. So, Spain is always among the third or fifth country in the world to attract meeting tourism. I think that Valencia is the third city in Spain, as it also favors it. That is not simply because we are the third city in Spain that we are going to have meetings, and especially international ones. You need a team and you need some facilities and so on. With which the combination of the two things are what help the palace have the activity it has.
Very good, Sylvia, very good. What steps are required to attract a congress or event from start to finish?
Well, look, something that probably sets us apart, because within the conference centers in Spain and in the world there are some that are fairs and conference centers, others that are auditoriums and conference centers, and there are others, like in our case, that we are almost exclusively a Congress palace. In other words, our main activity, and when I say our main activity, I am talking about almost 70% of our turnover, are congresses. So, the first thing we need is a city, as I was saying a moment ago, a city, which is the city of Valencia, a very attractive city, because we are always the Valencia Conference Centre, very attractive, and as the third city in Spain, because it has a significant number of hospitals, benchmarks, it has a significant number of universities, and within those hospitals and universities professionals work who are what we call, they are the ones we try to transform into ambassadors.
Okay.
So what do we require from start to finish those people? But that is not easy. When you go to the door of a doctor or a researcher and you talk to him about a congress, especially you talk to him for X years, the first thing he says is no because it has, well there are some exceptions, but normally they say no because it has a lot of work, because this is something unpaid, but with all our trajectory in the end we managed. In fact, we currently will have around 700 ambassadors, and they are people who help us promote candidacies for events that are held in Valencia and that help improve the prestige and recognition of the city. So, we need a city, some professionals who want to be fooled by us, and then we need facilities that give the best image. The greatest satisfaction I have is when right now, for example, half an hour ago, we were applying for an international congress. Amsterdam and Valencia were finalists, and one requirement was that we could host the event 2 years in a row. Well, the second year we didn't have dates, okay? We will have it in 2023, the second year was 2024, and we no longer had those dates. With which, the chances that he would go to Amsterdam were very high. Well, even so, with the image they have of us, they have said, well, we are going to make an exception, we will do 2023 in Valencia, and now the question is whether it is 2025 and 2026, which are the other alternatives that they have proposed to us or not. But of course, they have to come here, they have to see a team of professionals, facilities perfectly adapted to hold their event, because if the event is a success, the event will fulfill the purposes it had. Not just because you celebrate it here. To be a success, it requires much more, and that is something that I also value very much, and it is the image that we give and the involvement that we have in every event that is celebrated from minute one. From the first contact you have with the client until the minute you're the one that ends the event.
Well, the truth is that it is a very interesting task, right? I suppose, Sylvia, you will have had some anecdotes that you can obviously tell us about all that professional baggage of yours for those who are watching us, right?
Well, look, more than anecdotes, I am going to transfer to you after almost 25 years memories that I have in my mind are worth anecdotes, and that I have one of an anniversary of the palace, that we made lunch and at a given moment the man called us client. There was an event and we had left it, well, at lunchtime because there was no staff, and they call us by phone and ask us to turn off the lights in the auditoriums because the light bothered us to take a nap. That is the anecdote that I can remember funnier, but as memories that I have of my life here, which is already a life, because when I started working here I would never have thought that it would last more than a year, because I came from a private company where the majority were men. I was not used to working with women. Here we are mostly women, and women have many virtues, but perhaps we have a small defect that we may talk a lot. I was not used to so much chatter in meetings and so on. Then the issue of being a public issue also shocked me, and I don't care where, because I've been here for almost a quarter of a century. And as for the most beautiful moments of this trajectory, I would say 2010 on the one hand, because in 2010 it was when we began to have our worst moments, because the crisis, although it came in 2008, for us it came from 2010, because since we work with much anticipation, all the congresses of 2008, 2009, 2010, we had already committed. But in 2010 we already began to see where the industry, since many laboratories had merged, where there was not so much money, clients began to have serious problems, and in that year we opted for the first time to be the best conference center in the world. And it was like and I collected the prize. Also, they don't tell you in advance who wins, you go there like one more. He gave us the award. We were in Liverpool, at Liverpool City Hall, with the mayoress, and I was aware of the magnitude of the award when we were in the chamber and the finalists began to come out. We were among the 3 finalists. We found out at that moment, and well, when the prize came to Valencia, at such a hard time for us, because it was a difficult time for everyone, but we were used to very good results, and suddenly seeing you with less activity, we started with some losses. Well, it was as an acknowledgement. Then in 2018, which was our 20th anniversary, we contributed to the award again, and that was the moment where we began to emerge from a rather grey season, where everything began to go. The wind was in our favor, and we won that award for best for the second time. Conference center in the world, which was also a very nice satisfaction. And I would also highlight when in 2015 they proposed me to be director of the palace. And I remember that when they proposed it to me I said, let's see, the situation at the palace was quite complicated at that time. We had a level of indebtedness of around 5 million euros, the building has not had any investment for many years, and so I said, okay, I accept this, but not for the worse, that is, I want everyone here to commit to the same side and that together we all help, and the truth is that seeing that the entire strategy put in place has worked and that we are now with the levels of activity, that to put you in figures from 2006 to 2023, we foresee a growth of 37%, where the international billing has a very relevant weight, which is more or less half of our activity, which are the moments that I would keep in my history, my short history at the palace.
Well, the truth is that you also said it at the beginning, is that you have a beautiful city, not only the one that our ancestors left us, but also those of our contemporaries. What a fabric, how well you have done to the city. It is marvelous, of course, and then you have the sea. That is, you have very few competitors. I am not surprised that many people go to see you, it is normal, but you will have found certain differences between the company private and public, right?
Yes, to be honest, yes. But even I, for example, in a private company have been in a SME, a Valencian SME. I don't know about an SME from other places, but a Valencian SME has its particularities, where, especially at that time, because I am talking about the beginning of the 90s, well, where machismo was, that is, now I am not saying that there is not, but at that time I had to hear many comments that currently could not be said. And the transition from an SME to a Finnish multinational, not of any origin but Finnish, well, it was an abysmal leap.
Abismal en cuanto a la relación con las personas.
Abysmal in terms of the relationship with people, the transparency that was in everything we did.
¿Vale?
I noticed the main change from multinational PYME. When that public company comes, it is true that we work as a company, that already helps a lot, and many times in the city council they are placed a bit on how we work. Well, of course, we compete against companies in the world, not with administrations, but with companies. But yes, the positive part is the equal rights part. All of that is frankly positive, but everything is much slower.
¿Vale? No.
I am used to a much faster pace, and here we work at a fast pace, but it is a great contrast. But as I say, I mainly saw the difference between SMEs and multinationals. Then multinational to public company too, but for other aspects.
Well, yes, it's true. Of course, when you have experience in a public company and also private assets, the thing usually costs a lot. As he told me, I'd have always been an official, and of course I don't notice it much.
This public sector contract law that we have, because there are many colleagues here that drives them crazy. The truth is that as I always try to see the positive in everything, I say, well, at least this gives us peace of mind that for 10 years we have a company that works. But it is true that the public sector contract law, when you have to compete with private companies, because it slows you down a lot, or it can cause problems.
Well, and above all, it's the adaptation too, that usually costs a bit. Well, what do you think of tourism today? Quality, sustainability, or both?
Well, look, here I have also noticed a change since the pandemic. I was commenting on it the other day in a forum. As we always bet on the legacy of our events, I also see a legacy of COVID, a positive legacy. On the one hand, it helped people to be more united in the sector, at least in our sector. Each one went for free. We all came together worldwide to achieve certain aspects, and that the meetings could be held. At the local level, we also get it. Then the alliances, okay? Alliances to get jobs between, for example, with suppliers or within Valencia. Well, alliances to be able to fight for the same project.
Y
And the other issue is sustainability.
¿vale?
Before COVID, at an international level, clients did talk about sustainability, about sustainable events. They put much more emphasis, but the national one was nothing at all. Not now. Now they are all the events. I'm not saying all, but all those of a certain size are equally aware, whether national or international. And that for me is something very positive, because even if we are late, because it is already said that we are late, but it is not later than never. And yes, you see a change in mentality and a change to look for quality events, sustainable events. I am speaking from the point of view of the Palacio de Congresos. It is true that our activity, as I told you at the beginning, are mostly congresses, and mostly congresses of a certain volume of people. the average is 1,000, 1,500 people and that type of client, that in the end the impact of the events that are held in a city, it can be negative because in the end the carbon footprint is high and they are already aware. And what we do is help raise awareness in this regard and give all the tools to make your event as sustainable as possible. It helps. But you do see that there is concern and an interest in doing things differently. It can probably go faster, but at least a change has been seen, or I have perceived it, from 2020 until now. With which there is hope.
The truth is that I very much agree with you. I don't know if it has also been the sensitivity of the people or to say this, since we have been on the edge of the precipice, we will not take a step forward, because if it is not worse. So I think we have become a little more human.
Yes, and before the issue of sustainability was how much more am I going to pay? And now what we are seeing is that it is not about paying more, but about doing things differently. Well, from a simple detail that is that you sign up for the meals and that if you are not going to go, say that you are not going to go and therefore your dish is not prepared. That is neither more expensive nor cheaper, but in the morning they ask you again if you are going to eat or not, it already helps. Or that you adapt certain menus, okay? A much more respectful way.
Exactly, very good. Well, Sylvia, we are almost finishing, and one of the last questions I want to ask you is what are you doing now? To raise more Valencia? I don't think so, but hey, at least to keep it going, right?
Well, look, we are working above all on the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. It's really been. It gives our DNA from the beginning. At the beginning maybe it was not so conscientious, but maybe for a more commercial aspect, I am talking about the beginnings, but for many years, I just have to tell you that in 2008 we had the entire roof of the building with photovoltaic panels, which already shows that in 2008 we were already aware. In addition to many investments that always more or less 40% of our investments were aimed at energy savings, improvements linked to sustainability. But now it's a must, now it's mandatory and you also have to go at a much higher pace. So for this we have promoted a new project that we are very excited about and I really like, which we have called the Sustainability Advisory Committee. And what we have done is, as we are a public building, that is, a product within the city of Valencia and that we are very advanced compared to others in terms of sustainability, what we have done is involve public and private organizations, all related to some of the Sustainable Development Goals. To give you examples, there are people from the City Council, people who have been promoting Valencia's candidacy for European Green Capital that we have won by 2024, so they are a driving force for us there, but then also a company public such as ECOEMBES, Caixa Popular, Consum, UMIVALE, which are oriented from a private point of view, with equality and inequality, with help for disadvantaged people, etc. So we have put them all together and what we want is for the palace to be a laboratory of ideas, tests, errors, learning and when something comes out to be able to extrapolate it to other organizations in Valencia. With which many times it is not known how to promote something because, to give you an example, we have signed an agreement with CEMAS, which is the World Center for Sustainable Urban Food in the Luis Alcañiz Foundation of the University of Valencia and what we are doing is a pilot test in the palace where the entire feeding process is being diagnosed. It is looking at how to reduce food waste and how to improve the diet. There we no longer talk about the 3 R's, we talk about the 10 R's. Well, all of this what we want is to work using the palace as pilot tests to be able to learn, make mistakes, get up again and be able to apply procedures and cultures that at a given moment can be of use to others. So, that is one of the projects that we have just promoted and that is working very well. And then another one is next year, it is our 25th anniversary and we are proposing very beautiful things aligned with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So they are 2 very nice projects that are related to each other but they are very different and that is what we are currently immersed in.
Well, the truth is that you are seen with great enthusiasm and you are seen with a lot of passion in what you do. What we said at the beginning is true. I also tell you that it is also a good thing that those who did not think that tourism, which is the industry of happiness, have realized not long ago that tourism is an industry and from there, things have improved. In our beloved country and that is why we are the vanguard in the world, right? We can boast at least so far. So we thank you, Sylvia. Many thanks to Sylvia Andrés. She is the director, as I told you before, the managing director of the Valencia Conference Centre. As you have seen with great passion, she has spoken to us about her palace, which is obviously the palace of all of Spain, and that we have come this far. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and until next time.
Thank you so much.